You're listening to the DGD Podcast,
sponsored by La Touraine.
Here's your hosts, Robert Reynolds and Juan Daniels.
Welcome to this episode of the DGD Podcast. As always, Robert Reynolds and Juan Daniels. Guys, the show brought to you by La Touraine. Perfect watches, excellent prices. Use code DGD at checkout for 10% off your purchase site-wide. Juan, Friday we sat there and took over the offensive side of the ball and graded our position groups there. Also, not today, but also took on some takes from National Signing Day. Look, we're getting all in the defense today. There's a lot to go on there. This defensive class was absolutely loaded. So we're going to jump and focus heavily on this defensive side of the ball because with what we saw this past year, there's no question that we're going to have to replace a lot of guys, and I think this class did that. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started while the brigade pops in. Look, feel free to grade along with us, guys. We're going to start off. We're going to jump straight into this. Let's jump into the D-line. All right. So obviously, you're looking at guys like Devontae Wyatt and Jordan Davis, Trayvon Walker. Those guys are having to be replaced. And in my opinion, I think Georgia did that. Definitely think, looking at guys like Kristen Miller is the big key there, in my opinion, from National Signing Day commits to Georgia. You have Michael Williams, which is the highest recruit in our class. Bear Alexander. Looking at all of these guys, definitely think Georgia and Trey Scott did everything they could, and really solidified this class. In my opinion, probably the best defensive line haul I think I've ever seen for Georgia. What are your thoughts on that before we go ahead and give this a grade?
Well, what we talked about before. I mean, we're looking at now D-line U, right? But Patrick, you said it best. Defense wins championships. If you look at this past national championship, it was the defense that brought it home. So I look at it as we're not just rebuilding, we're reloading. And I love this class defensively. And I'm an offensive guy, but I love what we have defensively.
No, I'm completely in agreement here with you. You look at, like I said, Chris Miller, Michael Williams, but you also have guys like, that might go under the radar here. And one that I think I'm going to have to really keep an eye out for, and that's Darius Smith. Darius Smith, in my opinion, is going to be a big X factor and could ultimately kind of fill in what we're used to seeing with Adam Anderson. Very long, super athletic. I know there's videos been surfacing around him doing windmill dunks and basketball and straight just blocking people. It is, some of those things are super athletic, right? So
right.
I really think you could see him right there. Now, look, obviously this defensive line class was absolutely stacked, but we also had a couple misses and a couple flips, right? I think that was kind of to be expected, right? Some of the names that I think a lot of people probably are familiar with, missing on guys like Walter Nolan, Travis Shaw from Grimsley, right? A couple big-time misses right there. Obviously Nolan committing to A&M. Not talking about A&M today. I did mine Friday. And also, like I said, Shaw going to North Carolina. Nonetheless, though, I'm in love with what we brought in. I think all these guys, every single guy is going to have their own role for this defense. Kirby and Trey Scott shown that they rotate guys in at will, and if you're good enough, you're going to play early and often. So I fully expect that right here. If I had to grade it, I'm giving it a solid A. Like I said, if you sit there and if you pick up Travis Shaw, right, and obviously I like Bear Alexander, but if you pick up Travis Shaw, I think it's an A+. But definitely a solid A.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Again, we lose that Marquise Killebrew, but again, he had an opportunity to go up against Denylon, who is again my favorite pick of the whole thing. But I tell you what, I give it an A+, hands down.
I was definitely on that right there. Like I said, I think as Juan comes back. In my opinion, I think, looking at this defensive line class, like I said, I think the big star here is going to be Michael. I love what Christian Miller's about, right? Looking at all these guys that we grabbed, I could easily see the A plus. And look, I like what Barry Alexander's about, but for me, I definitely think, give it at least a solid A, right on the tier of A plus, just like Juan said. But as we move on to the linebackers, right, trying to replace, Quay Walker, Channing Tindall, Nakobe Dean, right? You've already got guys in the fold, from previous class with Jonathan Dumas Johnson, Smile Monda, and Xavier Sori. But let's, kind of to talk about this linebacking class. So you bring in Jalen Walker, and this is the prime or the cream of the crop for the Georgia class from a linebacker. Look, I genuinely believe this kid is going to be the next Nakobe Dean. Very instinctual, but he's also super athletic. I've heard, kind of a hybrid of Nakobe Dean and Channing Tindall or Quay Walker. Sorry, excuse me. So I think he has it all when it comes to that. And then you also see C.J. Washington, another guy just over the top 130. So looking at that right there, I think it's going to be a big class. I'm going to give it a solid B plus. As we'll wait for Juan to come back. For this class, biggest key. Looking at so you look at Malachi Starks as a safety, Dalen Everett, Julian Humphrey, right? So it's just a lot of guys. Let's see. Sorry, having some connection issues, it seems like. But nonetheless, I'm gonna give that a solid A plus. I think Coach Adai did a great job there. I'm gonna wrap this up, and we're gonna start soon again. Having some connection issues.